Welcome to Brewed Perspective. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Kyle. Every week we sit down with a fresh cup of coffee and have an in-depth conversation about the world around us.
We'll explore different perspectives, discuss current events, and delve into a variety of topics, all while sipping on a delicious cup of brew.
So grab your favorite mug and join us for another stimulating conversation here at Brewed Perspective.
All right. Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks again. We just can't get into the hang of getting the once a weeks. It's just been a busy season.
Well, it's been some upgrades too. You've got some new stuff for us.
Yeah, so hopefully this all plays well for everyone because I switched providers for the podcast part. Obviously, still on YouTube.
You can see us on Spotify and
It was. So, I mean, it's always been on Spotify, but it's being hosted on Spotify now.
right.
And it was a nightmare, really. Like, if I wasn't such a fan of Spotify, I would have just canceled it because it was a nightmare
That bad, huh?
trying to switch over to them. But in the end, it's there. I just haven't had a chance to check and see if it's anywhere else yet, too.
Right.
So it should have seamlessly went. So if you get it on iTunes or Google, it should still be there. If not, you won't hear this anyway. So
We'll have to re-release this at a later date.
But anyway, so yeah, we got some stuff going with that. Hopefully it works out well. And we wanted to get into a little bit of news stories today. We have President Donald Trump being charged by the New York grand jury with 34 felony counts.
I wonder. You sing?
Wonder.
If this would have happened had he not been running for office.
Oh yeah.
Because you know damn well, like I said, I'm not like a crazy Trump fan or anything, but like for a fact they did this intentionally to block him from being able to be on the primary.
That DA who's heading this up, that was like apparently I didn't see it, but I heard that he ran on that he was going to that Alvin Bragg, that he was going to press charges against Trump. Like that was part of his campaign was that
he was going to press charges.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of a historic moment again. First time that a former president has been through this. So I guess actually Ulysses S. Grant was stopped by a cop and went to jail, although I don't know that he actually spent any time there. He was riding his horse too fast through town. That's no shit.
Look at you with the historical facts.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, Trump's the only one, right? Like, and he's actually facing charges here. So,
oh my God, they've been after this guy for something since the first election.
Yeah.
Like it's been kind of frightening. You have that. You have the them trying to impeach him. The stuff with Russia. It's like just been nonstop.
Right.
And if he actually did something wrong, it would be what he did was wrong. I'm saying like if he had done something wrong, like
this is what they're getting him on.
Yeah.
On $150,000 payment.
Right.
But
okay, let's look at facts about things that Bill and Hillary have done over the years, and have just walked away with a slap on the wrist on.
You think they visited an island?
Well, it sounds a lot of people visited that island.
Think they? Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut right now because we might disappear. We might. The other guy, his suicide attempt. I say attempt. His suicide success.
Yeah. So it is pretty extreme, and I would say though that as much as the Republicans talk, they won't do anything. They won't follow suit. Republicans tend to always almost be like on the defensive. So they're just like they try to hold their head up and we're going to be the bigger party, right?
Yeah.
So then they get screwed all the time.
And it really does work out that way. Reacting to things rather than attacking seems to be a terrible idea.
But they're like, this was bullshit that this is happening, and we're not going to sink that low, and we're not going to do this. But then it ends up screwing them all the time. So,
yep.
It's pretty silly. But anyway, that's going on today. So sounds like I haven't seen anything since this happened. This was a couple hours ago, as of the time we're recording this. But I heard that he was basically just getting fingerprinted. There was going to be no mugshot, and no handcuffs. Or there may have been a mugshot, but obviously not going to be released.
Right.
And then he was heading back to Mar-a-Lago. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks.
This will play out just long enough for them to miss the primary, and then suddenly I'm sure he'll work his way out of this, but they'll hold this indefinitely open while that's going on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, from what I can see out of it, it sounds like this is actually helping Trump in his numbers more than it's...
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, because people are like, fuck them. Once again, they're trying to do something ridiculous.
Well, it's
like their 18 impeachments that they tried.
It's the hypocritical stances they take on stuff. Like I said, had they went after some of the Democratic Party in ways like this in the past, had it been back and forth, okay, but it's just Trump. Like, you guys they hate Trump. They hate this man, and they don't want him to run for office again because they know he is a threat. So it's like they want to remove the threat. Personally, though, I mean, I thought DeSantis would be a better option for them to run against than Trump again. I think they would probably have beat Trump if they let him run again. But
yeah,
I mean, God, I don't know. Biden's been so bad though, but he's been so bad.
We still don't even know if he's running. But I think I've heard a number of, obviously everyone's different, but I've heard a number of people say that they would rather see Trump in office again than DeSantis, like people on the left. Yeah, because they feel like DeSantis is like it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, DeSantis does a lot of the same stuff that Trump did, but he's more tactical about it, and he is quieter about it, and he doesn't like run his mouth a lot like Trump does. Like, the reason people hate Trump so much is the things he would say and post, and it that literally got him in a lot of trouble. So it's like, and DeSantis he may be a more effective candidate against them.
Right. Yeah, we'll see here. I assume DeSantis is going to announce next month. That's probably about the time we see anything come out of this with Trump right now, but I don't know. It might be sooner.
This will be a slow. They'll keep this open, trying to use this again.
I'm sure
for the rest of this year. I'm sure. When is the primary?
Well, in May.
In May. Yeah. How long? Okay, so what's the period that it runs when the primary is? That when they make the decision? Is in May, or just open the primary in May?
Yeah. It's going to go. You're going to. The primary is basically just determining who's going to be
right.
So yeah, so that's you're going to have that coming in May.
Okay.
Next year, not this year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
exactly, it's got time.
Yep. So on to this TikTok ban.
Still pushing this, huh?
Yeah, and I'm trying to find any information as to what's happening with this since the CEO, I can't remember his name now, Chu or Shu or whatever, since he was testifying. I haven't seen anything else out of this. It's pretty strange, but I don't know if you caught that Rand Paul. Because all right, so what happened? They got a number of different bills going through the system trying to ban it, right?
Right.
And I don't quite understand exactly what one of these things entailed, but it sounded to me, it was something like it was a way of doing a bill that they do for like mundane, ordinary bills that they have to present all the time type of thing, where they just everybody agrees on it, and that's the way it is. and they tried pushing this through like that, and Rand Paul objected to it. You had to have a unanimous decision, right, for it to go through, and Rand Paul objected to it.
Good job, Rand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got some of his video, and I cut into it a little bit.
I'm glad you actually found this. We had a lot of time trying to track this down yesterday.
Yeah, I cut into it a little bit just for time's sake, but I'll give you a few clips here.
Okay. The Republican strategy to ban TikTok comes simultaneously with GOP complaints of domestic social media companies canceling and censoring conservatives. Without a hint of irony, many of these same conservatives now rail against censorship while advocating for censorship against social media apps they worry are influenced by the Chinese. Before banning TikTok, these censors might want to discover that China already bans TikTok.
Right.
Do we really want to emulate Chinese speech bans? Aren't we the ones that say it's wrong for China to ban speech, so we're going to be just like China and ban speech we're afraid of? The vice president of FreedomWorks, John Tamny, perhaps described this situation best. Nauseating harassment of TikTok presumes Americans will be saved from Chinese authoritarianism if U.S. politicians act like Chinese authoritarians. We're going to be saved from speech if we ban it in our country. My goodness, could we think of anything more antithetical to the...
Right? Wow. Like, he could have stopped right there. I mean, that was a perfect argument.
You should put a link to the full video out there on the website.
Yeah.
Because, he said some really good stuff.
Yeah, I'll throw it up there. But it is, I mean, it's just like what we've been saying. You know, they're trying to censor the freedom of speech that we're having, right? Like everyone's on there, and we get so much information on TikTok that we don't get anywhere else.
Right.
From not just our country, but from around the world, right? And it's not getting censored. So we're getting some good information, and here they are trying to ban it because it's, owned by a Chinese company. But I liked how he said that. Like, China bans TikTok, right? And so you want us to act like China? I thought it was pretty good,
but I mean, they slowly are pushing us that direction. Like, the U.S. is slowly pushing us into a controlled knowledge time period here. Like they want to do exactly what China has in place, where they're I really feel like they're slowly working us to where they control the level of information that we get.
I agree. And it's really, I tried looking up today. Man, it's a brutal task. When you see these news articles and they say this is what I was looking into was how much money Facebook or Meta has contributed to lobbyists, right? Dude, that is not an easy task. And all of this information is publicly available.
Right.
But it goes through so many different lobbyists that, I bet you I spent an hour and a half today, and finally I had to give up because I saw a number. Last year, $20 million. And as I was looking through them, I couldn't even get that. I couldn't get anywhere that close to it. Right. But I was definitely into the millions. But it's just, you got to look through so many from the House and the Senate, right? They both have their lobbying groups there. And it's not like you can't just search for Facebook, right? Well, actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, if you go to the House's site, you can search by company. On the Senate side, you can't search by company, but you can search by lobbyist. Well, you got to know who the lobbyists are. So then you got to look up and find out who Meta, who their lobbyists are, and then search by them. But there's so many of them, right? it was a nightmare. Anyway, I was just pointing out that when people come up with these numbers and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever, dude, that's not an easy task to come up with those numbers.
Well, because they're all, I wouldn't say, well, I guess I would say they're sneaky about how they release what they're doing. Like you could say something's public, but it's like, okay, so say they tell you got to post something in a newspaper or in the newspaper, right? Okay, so they'll go out and find the smallest newspaper you can post.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's small ways to get around the law. Like if you do it that way,
yep.
They're using loopholes, and it shouldn't be that difficult to find information like that. But they want to be hush hush about it.
So I want to show another video continuing on with Rand Paul, and this was where he starts talking about basically giving the president unlimited power. Okay. So check this one out.
I ask the American people, do you want Joe Biden to be your censor? Do you want to give unlimited power to any president, regardless of party, to decide who is our adversary and which countries, and then which countries? There's not even a list of what percentage. What if the Chinese own 1% of a company or 10% of a company? One of the bills before us would allow the Department of Commerce to decide. There's 5 countries they list that are adversaries. These are big countries that have a lot of interaction with our country already. Decide which country in addition to the 5. The Department of Commerce can designate a country as an adversary, but then they can designate a company. But there's no specific. Do the new people that are designated to be an adversary have to own 100% of the company, 50% of the company, 1% of the company? This is a crazy gift of power to one person. And I don't care which party they're in, it's a huge mistake.
Right. Yeah. So I like that Rand Paul says that, which he's always, I think he's a pretty upstanding guy, but he's like, it doesn't matter what party it is. You don't want to give that much power to one person.
Right.
Right. He's, definitely on our side anyway when it comes to not, censoring our free speech, and not getting the government involved in more shit, right? To try and stop. I guess that's the point is if you ban, that's what he's getting at. If you ban TikTok because of this, then one of these bills that they're presenting, because like I say, there's a number of them, but it basically allows them to, if any adversarial country is involved with any company that has an app that you use, they can stop it from happening.
Right. And
again, that's what he's getting at, is that it doesn't even specify how much of the company. It could just be 1% of the company that China owns or Russia owns or whatever, right? And they can just ban it just like that. And it sets up pretty horrible precedent.
Well, and this, like you said, this opens the floodgates to them making these decisions in the future on small, like it's a small involvement of a corporation, something like an app or a corporation involved in the country. So it's basically like they're putting a sanctions on the apps. It's like, okay, well, if you're involved in this country, yep, you're cut out. Like,
yeah, yeah, but so the author of this bill, right, was that Josh Hawley, and he is what he is. I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy by any means, right? In my opinion,
right.
But he definitely wants this TikTok ban, and so he spoke right before Rand Paul spoke. So I don't have the video on that, but Rand Paul addresses him here, and it's I don't know. I think it's kind of comical. Here you go.
The previous speaker said, and I quote, "There's no First Amendment carve out for communists." Well, actually, there is.
So that he does. He says that when he's trying to defend this bill,
right,
and banning TikTok. There is no First Amendment carve out for communists. And Rand Paul's like, bullshit.
In our society, you can be a communist. I don't advocate it. I think it's a terrible idea. And almost no Americans choose it. But there's a communist party here. We actually had a former CIA director who said he voted for the communist candidate in 1976. Someone I don't advise you would appoint to be the head of your CIA. But this is a free country. You can actually have terrible ideas and you can broadcast them. That's what freedom of speech is about. It's not about saying, oh, I love Mother Teresa. It's not about saying things uncontroversial. It's about the ability to say things that people don't like.
Right. Definitely putting out some good arguments there. And hopefully somebody will listen to them. Obviously that one bill is not going to go through because it's not unanimous. But there's one other bill for sure sitting out there right now trying to do it. I would expect that there will be more. I just don't understand. I feel like there's something more going on, right? Like I honestly just don't think that they fear China having our information.
Well, like you said before, though, they can purchase it.
Right.
It's not like they need this free, this app to, like they're well financially off, so it's not like they would have a difficult time gathering information from us if they really wanted it. It's in legal routes at that point.
Yeah.
So their excuses is honestly just kind of silly.
Yep. I don't understand it, but I definitely feel like they've got something more up their sleeve. Like they are trying to limit what we hear. Right? Like, remember that there was a clip that went around a year ago maybe, and they had all the different news stations saying the exact same thing. You remember that? And it ended up like filling your screen. Here's one, here's one, here's one. It ended up being like 100 different news stations having the exact same story.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I feel like it's heading towards, what they're trying to make it.
But you see a division like that now with like the with Fox and then some of the other MSNBC and stuff. It's like they bicker at each other for one because they're putting out conflicting information in a lot of these cases. But it's like they're constantly saying, well, this is the truth on their side, and it's like how many of the Democratic news stations put out very similar content, on their end as well. So it's like TikTok, like you said, like TikTok's like borderline one of the few locations you can go to get unbiased information, and which is sad because like I like what you said, we sit in the middle, so I like getting information from both sides because I want to see both sides of the story. I don't want your skewed one-sided version of events or information you give me. I want to see all of it, and then I'll be allowed to make a judgment myself on what I feel about the situation, not just hand-fed, spoon-fed what you want me to feel.
I don't know if I would say that I sit in the middle.
Well, you're more Republican than you are Democrat, obviously, but so am I. But like, I like to view both sides of the coin.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I was just.
You're not in the middle.
I think the far left went way far left.
Yeah.
And that kind of skewed the middle line anyway.
No, that is fair.
But anyway, I got one more clip here of Rand Paul, and this is where he's talking about how we should fear our government, right?
If you want to address the evils of big tech, it's not the Chinese government you have to fear, but your own. In June 2021, Newsweek reported that big tech complied with 85% of government requests to hand over your personal data. So you're worried about the Chinese government? Your government has all of your data, and they're sucking it up from all the big tech. So the thing is your next step to ban big tech in our country? There are some people that are promoting banning TikTok, and their next step is Facebook. This is on both sides of the aisle. This contagion is infecting the whole country, both parties. Realize that this means with 85% of government requests to big tech being honored, this means that Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, once presented with a subpoena or a warrant, routinely hands over the documents of emails, text messages, photos, documents, calendars, contact lists, and more to your government. Big tech puts up virtually no legal fight to protect your privacy. They could go to court to stop this. Instead, there's a big cable that runs from big tech to the government, and they snoop on every bit of our information. So you want to protect privacy? Why don't we start by protecting our own privacy in this country?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, this needs to be flipped around on our own government that, okay, if you're worried about our information getting out, then you shouldn't get it either.
Well, right. They should have some sort of privacy act in place.
They should.
I don't know. I guess.
Well, the thing is like a lot of the big tech companies, like he's specified, they're literally working with them. Like
right.
It's not like they're pushing back. It's they want to comply so they can get through what they want. Get their business to keep succeeding by getting government help in a lot of these cases.
Sure.
But I mean, you look at something like iPhone, with Apple, it's like the amount of information that damn thing gathers and stores about you, it's kind of frightening.
Yep.
And it's linked with so many other of these big tech apps and programs that it's frightening. I mean, you literally look at your phone, we can talk about something, and like 30 minutes later it's popping up on my phone. And it's I get it, it's an advertising side, but like it is frightening the amount of data that they store on you, and to the point that you literally don't have any privacy when it comes to your phone unless you constantly have your phone off.
Right. I say we get rid of cell phones.
That would be ideal, but
Yes.
It's kind of hard to do that now.
No, it's not. Well, you just have pagers.
We don't have any. Nobody has a home phone anymore.
You can get them.
Do you have a home phone?
No, but I can get one.
Oh, you have to get a new landline put in.
Yeah, it's
What are
fine.
you going to do if they get rid of the landlines?
What?
What if they get rid of our landlines?
Well, I've got cable, and so I'll just get the telephone through that, and then you can page me when you want to talk.
I got paid you.
Yeah, or just leave a message on my answering machine.
How about I send a carrier pigeon?
No,
I feel like I would really have fun with that.
I'm being serious. You're being an asshole.
I mean, but you could do the same thing with like a regular phone through your Wi-Fi.
No, absolutely.
Okay. So even the phones, like they could tap our phones.
Yeah, they could.
I mean, they used to do it. So
okay, so
they moved from tapping phones to recording everything on their cell phones.
Yeah, you can tap your phones, but the amount of information that they get now.
Oh yeah, it's not even close.
Right.
And the ridiculous thing is we freely supply it.
Oh yeah.
We freely. So I was watching. Okay, it's kind of a dumb movie, but I have not talked about a movie in a long time on here. So you're just gonna shut up and listen for 5 seconds.
Sure, go ahead.
There was this dumb movie on Netflix called Jexy. Okay. Have you seen this? It's basically about this guy, and he breaks his phone, which had Siri on it, and his new phone has this AI called Jexy, but she's an asshole. It's actually fairly amusing. The first like 20, 30 minutes of the movie is anyway, because it's basically just her talking shit to him. But like, the thing like starts going through like all the things she's controlling, but at the very beginning, she's like, "Would you like to read our user agreement before you comply?" And he's like, "No, thank you." And she was like, "Stupid." Like she's calling him an idiot for not reading it, and then she just keeps making fun of him. But the thing is that comes back to bite him in the ass, because basically it gave her access to like everything he's got, and then she kind of turns on him and starts like fucking with him because she has access to everything that he has. That's basically what we blankly give over to when we sign up our cell phones or Google. It's like, how many of you people actually go through and read that? I mean, you might, but like, how many of these people that sign up for these things, where it specifically states that they have access to, link your accounts to all your pictures. I've got pictures out on on Google. I mean, they literally can do anything, and then they have the locations of where the pictures were taken because it's recorded on your phone.
Are you afraid of what pictures you have on the
I don't
internet?
have anything to worry about at all. I'm not a weirdo, but I know like people like you who went through and deleted all their Google stuff, all their Facebook accounts, all even going so far as to spend $900 on a random imaginary phone. Have you got that phone yet? By the way, that's what I thought. Anyway, but like that's the extent. Even though you did that, and I teach you about it, like that's the extent you have to go to get off grid for that stuff. And even then, like you're still on because your current phone is still accessible. So it's like you might be off of Google a little bit, you might be off of Facebook, but like
Well, and Google has actually made it. Google knows what they're doing, dude. They have pioneered it, honestly, because the way that they came out and offered all of this free stuff to you.
Yeah. Who wouldn't take it, right?
Yeah. And it was amazing.
It's innovative and it's fun because it links all your accounts and it's like, but then when you get down to the nitty gritty of what they're tracking you on, it's like, it's kind of frightening.
When Gmail, when it first came out, I was using an email account at UReach. Remember UReach?
I remember that one. Well, I remember. I only know them because of your email.
Right. Well, and because that was kind of, it was a free service, and you could. What was the deal with it? You could get a phone call. You got a number or something. You could get a phone call to that, and it would send you an email or whatever with the transcript of it or some shit like that.
Huh.
But when Gmail came out, what they were offering was so much more than what you could get even with that. So now they didn't start off with this phone service of any means, but the amount of space that they gave. Remember, everyone had Hotmail or Yahoo.
Yeah, I still have a Hotmail, like an old one.
It's just weird.
Which Outlook owns them now, so you have to go to log into with that.
Right.
Which the only reason I keep mine open, I don't even use it. I've got a Gmail account now, but in my Hotmail account, I keep it open because it has old things that I might need. And honestly, I could probably just forward them over to my Gmail and be done with it. But
right. But I mean, the point is that they offered so much more space. Remember?
Oh yeah.
So everyone else, what were they giving you? I don't know, something like 50 megabytes or something like that. And then here comes Gmail, and they're like, "Here, have a gig."
Right.
What?
We're gonna double it for free.
They're gonna more than double it. Yeah. And so then they did the same thing when they brought out the obviously the Google Drive and Google Photos. Right. And now they're kind of going back a different direction a little bit here because you had unlimited space, right?
And now they're making you pay
for
it.
Yeah, now they're trying to get into that game. But they've got everybody hooked on them at this point. I mean, we're talking 10, 15 years.
Yep.
Shit, more than that. Gosh dang, I'm getting old. But anyway, so you're given, and they're just so convenient, right? So yeah, I take all these pictures on my phone, and then something happens to my phone. I restore it to factory settings, or I get a new phone or something like that. Well, I don't have to do anything because I just got to sign into my Google account, and all of the pictures that I took that were automatically backed up to Google Photos, well, they're there again, right?
Yeah.
They make it so easy to get so much of your information. And like Rand Paul was saying there, they don't even put up a fight, right? Yep. So if the government wants anything on you, they don't even try, right? I mean, figure that they might be doing this. It might be a nonstop battle for them, right? That they're going to put out this money to be fighting these cases when it's so simple just to be like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah. The only company I've seen push back in a little bit when it comes to privacy on some of the stuff is Amazon. Well, the only one I've seen so far.
Well, Apple did it first, remember?
Yeah. Well, Amazon's was a weird one. So, and this is still ongoing. And we might have talked about this a few months ago. I can't remember. But this had to do with the Echo Dots. Do you remember the little speakers?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they've got their own little AI on there, which was Alexa. Alexa's on theirs. So there was a case in court where a husband potentially murdered his wife, and the court was trying to subpoena the Echo Dot information because the way that those work, it is constantly recording and listening to your conversations. Now, Amazon claimed at first that they didn't record the conversations, but then it came out that they do. And that's the only way just like Siri, that's the only way that Siri is the same way. It's constantly listening. Mm-hmm. So what the courts were trying to do was subpoena the Echo Dot for the argument that happened during the husband and wife. And there was a big legislation about it because Amazon was stating that that's a privacy concern for us. We don't want to release that information because that's that's not what that was intended for. I have to check on. We'll also talk about the next time, but I don't know that was ever that the murder case is like still going on, and that's part of the thing that was getting argued from Amazon, because they were really fighting them for that, because that was like the main evidence they had, that he stated that there was a fight and she attacked him and he defended himself, and so her lawyer was trying to claim that he just killed her in cold blood. So they were trying to get the
I feel like we did talk about
I think it was a couple months ago, but I can't remember what it was for. But I'd like to look the case up to see where it's sitting at. But last time I'd heard, they were still in court over it.
But Apple did it first too. Remember when the FBI was trying to get the Apple to unlock the phone?
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
What do you think that's been? About 8-9 years ago
Probably.
now? But now they're probably just like, fuck it, here you go.
Right.
Take it all.
Well, hell, you on TikTok, you can find ways to unlock it yourself. It's kind of crazy. It's like you had to go like your calculator or something, and then like you type in a code and then swipe right, and it's like, oh, it's all these ridiculous things they have to get into them.
Right. So, and we need to push past this a little bit, or we're never going to get done here.
Yep.
Remember the Abby Warner, the teacher that got shot in Virginia, right?
Yep. So
she has filed a lawsuit seeking $40 million.
Yeah, we knew this one was coming.
Yeah. So normally, I don't know. Normally, I am not a fan of people seeking such massive lawsuits.
Right.
I know we've talked about this a number of times, how much that even if she gets awarded $40 million, how much she would actually get. Right.
Because there's state limitations.
All right. But in this case, and it sucks for the taxpayers of that area.
Mm-hmm.
But in all out honesty, are their taxes going to go up any because of this? I mean, I'm almost thinking that wouldn't they have insurance that covers this, and is their insurance going to go up enough to?
That's a good question. I wonder if they sell insurance for lawsuits. Like the state can buy insurance for lawsuits. Well, that's a very interesting.
Well, these are. I would assume that all these schools have it. I would assume.
I don't know. I've never heard of that for schools.
But as far as this Abby Warner goes, though, the amount of times that this student that shot her, amount of times that day that this kid was brought to the attention of the administration.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go through a little bit of a timeline here. We may have talked about this timeline before when we talked about her, but we'll go over it again.
I don't think we went to this extent.
All right, so around 11:15 to 11:30, Zorner, the teacher, she went to a school administrator and told them that this 6-year-old had threatened to beat up another kid that day. And the administration didn't take any action to remove the student from the classroom. Okay?
In that case,
okay,
nothing happened.
Yeah, right.
She shouldn't be saying that.
But threatened it, but they didn't do anything.
Right.
Okay. So 12:30 p.m., so an hour later, a teacher told a school administrator that she'd searched this kid's backpack for a gun and told the administration that she believed the boy put the gun in his pocket before going outside for recess, right?
How'd she know he had a gun to begin with?
Somebody told her.
Okay.
Somebody told her. Another student or whatever said that he's got a gun in his bag or something like that, right? Okay. But the administrator downplays the report of this and says to this teacher, and this is a different teacher, but she says to her, that boy's got little pockets, right? Like, he's not going to get a gun in his little pockets. Why
wouldn't they just check him? That's a stupid. Like, even if there's a threat of a gun, like you should check it.
This is not an adult. This is a 6-year-old kid at a school. The teacher, I think the teacher has every right to go and check this gun. Yeah. Check this kid if he's got a gun.
Well, especially with all the school shootings.
And
lately.
Jesus Christ, play it safe. But they didn't. So shortly after 1 p.m., a third teacher now tells administrators that another student was scared and crying and confessed that the shooter showed him a gun at recess and threatened to shoot him if he told anyone. another like 6-year-old kid, right? So a fourth employee asked the administrator for permission to search the boy, but was denied and was told to wait the situation out because the school day was almost over.
That's ridiculous.
And then almost an hour later, Zwerner gets shot.
This is like, I mean, this is blatant negligence. I mean, you could have taken 30 seconds to check that kid's pockets.
Yep. And I'm sure that this, I don't think it is, at least in my opinion, I can't see that it's a form of laziness on the administrator's part, right? I don't think they're just like, yeah, I don't have time for that, whatever. I almost think that they're afraid of the kid telling their parents, they're picking on me all the time. They're searching me for gun, and afraid that this kid doesn't actually have anything, right? But take the fucking abuse that you're going to get from the parents later.
But man, okay, let's. But that's still ridiculous, okay? Because I've also seen instances where kids just draw pictures of guns at school and they get suspended automatically.
Well, okay, but this kid in particular had already had some sort of behavioral issues. The kid was kicked out of the school. This is a six-year-old kid, right?
Right. So he's in kindergarten, first grade.
He's in first grade now, but he had already been kicked out of the school and then allowed to return. He went to another school or something, and then he was allowed to return. And I feel like I read somewhere that part of the agreement with allowing him to be there, he had to be accompanied by a parent. Okay. Obviously, not all day. Yeah. But anyway, they've already had some issues with this kid. So they're probably, and I'm sure the parents were, everyone thinks that their kid's the best kid in the world. Right. I mean, my kids are, but other people think that their kids are, and so I'm sure they just didn't want to deal with the parents on this. And like I say, at that point, he's like, "It's the day's almost over. We'll just if something comes up tomorrow, we'll deal with it tomorrow." Yeah, big fucking mistake, because this teacher could have lost her life. And any of these kids in there could have lost their life. I mean, he threatened to kill another kid, too. And probably, my guess is he probably threatened to kill a bunch of other kids.
Yep, that's just what got reported.
You're right. And again, we talk about, how these kids don't have the mental capacity to understand their actions like that. This kid's no different. In fact, he's not getting charged, right? 6-year-old, he wouldn't even know what it means to be charged. No. We still don't know if the parents are getting charged in this or not. But the kid could have threatened anybody. The kid could have shot anybody. I mean, it's just, I don't know. They should have taken care of this right away, but they didn't. So they let it go 3 different occasions where they.
I mean, at least something. By the third one, like, you don't blow off one random one like that. I still don't agree with it, but like, I can see him be like, "Oh, okay, maybe you're overreacting." But by the third instance of somebody saying that he's got a gun,
well, the first time it wasn't that he had a gun; he just threatened to beat somebody up or something.
Oh, well, yeah. But in 3 other instances, though, somebody said either he had one or there were
they had 2 other times where they said that he had a gun, and it was a 4th teacher that offered to search him.
Gotcha.
Right? But anyway, so we'll see how that plays out. My guess is she'll probably get $40 million, which means she'll walk away with $15 million. I don't know. Probably. So the last story I want to get to real quick is Florida becomes the 26th state to allow permitless carry of concealed guns. Kind of a follow up to what we just had.
Yeah. What state was that last one in?
What
state was the last incident in the shooting?
Hell, I don't know. There's so many of them. I don't know. I don't know where they were. Oh, you mean which state was Zwerner's thing?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. I believe that was Virginia or Carolina. Virginia.
Yep. Virginia.
Yeah. But anyway, Florida allows it, and DeSantis, he basically said, all right. So the way Florida worked before, You had to, in order to get a permit to carry your gun, you had to, I think you had to take a firearms training course.
Right.
Okay. And then obviously clear the background check and pay your fees.
Right.
Okay. A little bit different than like Indiana. You don't have to go through firearm training. All right. You just have to pass a background check and pay your fees.
I do kind of feel like people should have firearm training though.
Yeah, I mean,
like I hate a lot of the gun laws, but I feel like you do get some people who just randomly get weapons that have no idea how to use them correctly.
Well, they're not going to use them either.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, they're not going to use them.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe some little old lady getting mugged might try to do something, but
yeah. Or even if you don't take a class, like you should be able to come in and do basics to show them your knowledge of.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't want the government involved in any of my shit. So I feel like if I teach my daughter how to handle a gun, and I take her out shooting all the time, and she's really familiar with it, and she knows the safety procedures and all that bullshit, and she's 21 years old and she wants a gun, I don't think she should have to go prove to anybody that.
You say that, but we literally do the exact same thing with the driver's test. Like when you get your license, you have to go take their test and everything and pass it. Like I'm not saying you should have to take a class. You don't want to take a class on it, but you should at least have some form of a test to go showing that you can fire the weapon correctly.
I'm just curious. When last time you read through our Constitution, was there anything in there about driving?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
So,
and yet here we are, I still take a driver's test.
Well, anyway, yeah. I
mean, in fairness, would you want your daughter driving as you not take a driver's test?
No. Sorry, Kylie.
We love you, Kylie.
Anyway, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad idea, but it is what it is. Each state's got their own
get
thing.
your stance because you don't like the government's involvement in everyday life, and I completely understand that. I live in a state that is conceal and carry, but you have to get a FOID card and everything. It's a giant headache, especially if you've already known how to use a gun in the past. But at the very least, I wouldn't be upset if they required you to come in and take a class. I still don't think they should, but I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. A bad idea to show your knowledge that you actually know how to use the weapon before they hand it to you. I mean,
yeah, I guess. I just my fear is that they can use those. The government can use those classes. Shit.
Bless you.
God dang, that came out of nowhere.
What do we have? What do we have a comment to make when somebody sneezes but not when they cough?
I don't know.
Like I said, bless you when you sneeze. When you cough, I'm just like, you gonna die? Like that's all I got.
Smoke another one.
Yeah. Like it's always some smart ass comment when somebody coughs.
I think it's. I don't know.
Did you like just choke on your own spit?
I don't know what happened.
Like I don't understand how that happened.
I don't know what happened.
Anyway.
Anyway, I guess my fear is that the government can use those classes as a way to fail people. Say, oh,
True.
You're not good enough. You didn't pass this. You didn't pass that. To prevent people from getting their licenses.
True. And then it's just more money, right? Like it's all about making money.
It is. But again, I might be alone in this, but I don't agree with not allowing felons to carry. Again, we've talked about this
with the voting, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, and so if you've paid your time, well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this because now that laws are changing in California and they let you out of prison, they don't their DA doesn't go after you anyway. But in most normal states, If you've paid your time for the crime that you've committed, then you've paid your time, right? And now you should be afforded the same rights as everyone else.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I stand alone in this, but I know the arguments, right? The argument says, well, okay, so if you're a child molester and you've paid your time, then should you be allowed to set up shop right next to a school?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
It's like, and it's like, okay, so then you limit it. Do you limit it at the crimes? Okay, if you commit an armed robbery or
if you commit
murder,
a crime with a
gun,
with a weapon, but if you just stole a vehicle and that's a felony,
you're right.
Right. Or even I know this will go different ways, but I know a guy who this is years ago that this happened, but his wife grabbed his phone, right? Mm-hmm. His wife? Doesn't matter. She goes, because they're fighting, they're in an argument, right?
Right.
And she goes to throw it. He reaches up to stop her, grabs her wrist. He's a felon now.
Yeah.
He is a felon now.
Yeah, you're just supposed to get hit in the face, and it's perfectly fine.
Well, it was that she wasn't throwing; she was just throwing it across the room. He was just trying to stop her from throwing it.
But then
since he grabbed hold of her, and now he has a felony, and he cannot carry a firearm when he's never had any other issue in his life, right? Yep. So again, I think it needs to go to that. But point is, has nothing to do with Florida. Florida says now. You can carry. DeSantis says a constitutional right should not require a permission slip from the government.
That's fair.
Good
Reese's
job.
Good point.
And he says it's time we join the 25 other states to enact constitutional carry. And if you're curious, here is the layout of these states. Right? I'm surprised.
Illinois is such an oddball.
Right
in the middle of all the states there.
Just because of that upper little section
all Chicago.
There. But anyway.
Can we just give them back to somebody?
So, did I tell you this? That Chicago was originally part of Michigan?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And we had to accept them or Illinois had to accept them to become a state.
Interesting. Anyway, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm glad to see Florida join suit because, again, as we always say, a criminal doesn't care what your law is, right?
That's a good point.
So if you're concerned about criminals carrying their guns, they don't give a shit.
They're still going to have
They're
them.
Still criminals, and they're going to do what they're going to do. So anyway, that is what it is. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, and we hope you enjoyed the conversation and maybe even gained a new perspective.
And remember, a fresh cup of coffee is always a good idea. So join us again next time as we continue to explore the world one brew at a time. Be sure to visit our website at brewedperspective.com.
And don't forget to follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and podcast with whatever platform you use, providing you can access it. Otherwise, it's just on Spotify. I don't know.
Hopefully soon.
For Brewed Perspective, I'm Justin.
And I'm Kyle, and we'll see you soon.